Bismillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. Brothers, well, most of you all here know me. My name is Abu Amir Kazim Bakhsh, and I'm going to do a presentation on Hijaamah. I'm a Hijama practitioner, I've been so for a few years now, and I've treated a few of you, well, some of you in this room. I suppose, as you know, the Masjid set up a clinic to treat people for Hijaamah. But we came to realize that not many people actually knew what Hijaamah was. You know, I was under the impression that most people do, because I started treating Hijaamah back in Qatar. A lot of Muslims, the Arabs, they are very familiar with Hijaamah. So I brought that over here thinking that people would be knowledgeable in this, only to come to find that they had no idea what Hijaamah was. So, but as of now, as recently though, in like celebrity culture, you have Beckham, Amir Khan, they're all receiving Hijaamah now. So now I do have a few people asking me, okay, but what is this Hijaamah now? Forget the fact that it's part of our religion. They're more interested in it because of the celebrity culture. So I suppose if I was to ask in this room here, how many of you have heard of Hijaamah? If you could raise your hands. I've treated most of you all anyway. Okay, how many of you actually received Hijaamah? Okay, so we'd say about what, 10%, 15%, And a few of you have actually received Hijaamah. So of us, we know what Hijaamah, have heard of it, but we've not actually received Hijaamah. Now, what would you say was the reason that you have not received Hijaamah? Take Umar as an example.
Because never got around to it.
Never got around to it. Yeah. Are you aware of the benefits of Hijaamah and things like this?
No.
No? So have you just heard of it as a name and not anything else?
For treatment for like pain, that's it.
Okay, inshallah. So what we're going to do today, I'm going to deliver a presentation to introduce you to what Hijaamah is. I'm not going to go too in depth, just an outline of what Hijaamah is and the reasons why you should receive it, not just from a spiritual aspect, but also from a physiological aspect as well. So I'm going to try to hit it with both, inshallah. So we'll begin. Okay, so the importance of Hijaamah. What is Hijaamah? Hijaamah is an ancient form of medical treatment in which a partial vacuum is created in cups on the surface of the body and small scratches or pinpricks are made onto the skin under the cups. Okay, so Hijaamah therapy is performed by using the following apparatus, Okay, number one, this is called the pump or the gun. Okay, I'll show you how it works in a moment. The pump is used to apply suction to a selected patch of skin. Then you have the cups, which attaches to the pump, okay, which is used to collect the blood once it is removed from the body. Then you have the blades, obviously, to actually perform the scratches. I prefer surgical blades as they're sterile and they provide a finer cut. And obviously gloves, just for hygiene purposes. Okay. So what I'd like, for the purpose of the audience, is someone to come up here and I'll just quickly demonstrate, not Hijaamah as itself, but just how the pump and the cup, how the suction works, so that you have more of a visual idea as opposed to just a presentation. Okay, so as you saw, you have the pump, okay, you have the cup. Okay, the cup attaches to the pump, okay, and as I pull this, it provides the suction. Yeah? Okay, so I'll demonstrate on Brother Umar here, who has been very brave. MashaAllah, what's this one? Right, so first and foremost, we'll apply some oil. Also, there's a point that some people perform Hijaamah, they don't use no oil. They put the cup straight on, which basically just clamps the skin and then stretches into the cup. When you use oil, it allows the skin to move into the cup. You see, which...
what sort of oil is that?
It's olive oil. It's Moroccan olive oil for the extra. See, because there's a lot of people, they don't use oil, basically.
You still use the oil if you was going to do dry Hijaamah?
Yeah, it's still dry, because what it is, if you think about it, if you place the cup on there, and I just start pulling on the skin now, it's clamped the skin, and then it basically tears the skin. And that's where you get the bruising, you see. But with the oil, it allows the skin to roll into the cup and stay in place, you see. There's many people that don't use oil, and that's why they end up with bruising. After they're like, oh, what's happened to me? It's because they've not used there's been no oil used. So we look at it, so if you just okay, so 1 pump, 2 pump, 3. Okay, and now it's in place. Okay, and the process that takes place on this, which we'll cover in a moment, inshallah. Okay, so as you can see, I lift it off, and the cup stays in place.
Back in the days, I used to do Hijaamah with putting fire inside
Fire,
the
yeah.
cup. Not use a pump.
That's a traditional way. Basically, they put the fire inside the cup. The fire takes out oxygen. So when you reapply back to the skin, it sucks the skin into it. As a result of taking the oxygen out. When you put fire into something, it relieves that area of oxygen. That's a traditional way, but it's not really in terms of safety and also hygiene as well, which we'll cover in the lecture. Okay, so that's just how it's applied. Okay, you can sit down now. Okay, so I'll give you a brief history. So now that you know what hijama involves, we'll now go through a brief history of of hijama. Okay, so hijama dates back to ancient times. The ancient Egyptians, Greeks, Chinese, and Arabs, and early Western civilizations practiced cupping techniques. Bloodletting was performed in barbershops from the 20th century. Still used by isolated civilizations to this day. Was used to treat illnesses such as asthma, cholera, epilepsy, gangrene, leprosy, scurvy, and tuberculosis. Horn and clay, bamboo cups were used instead of recent equipment. So before, the technology evolved whereby they could design cups that could just use a pump, they would use the fire and the horns or the bamboo sticks. So as we can see here, this is some ancient, this is of an Egyptian pyramid. If you see here, the two, you see here, that's actually a cup. This is taken off an Egyptian pyramid, a cup there and a cup there. They're traditionally used, proving that basically hijama was used back in ancient Egyptian times. This is the barber shop. If you notice that the picture's quite small, but you see that with red and white? Where have you seen that before?
That's what's in the barber shops.
You've seen it on barber shops, correct? You see. There you are. You see. Now basically that's to indicate the history of surgery. They used to perform surgery in the barber shops. I think it's around the 12th century that clergymen, as far as I know, weren't allowed to practice surgery no more. They were banned, the clergymen. So they were passed down to just your average layman to practice some form of surgery. They used to bloodlet in the barber shop. They used to perform minor surgeries, dentistry, circumcision. And barbers was your local surgeon as such. Okay, and as you said, the horns.
Oh, what?
These are the horns here, yeah? Okay, so this is the horn. These are the horns, and these are the glass cups. Okay.
So many.
There's so many. This is basically this is the Chinese technique. This is not hijama. This is not hijama. This is the Chinese form of dry cupping. You see, dry cupping. You see, hijama is very specific to the way we practice it. But this is from the Chinese, and this is quite ancient. This practice. I mean, he looks more like a Pokemon or something.
Dinosaurs, man.
Dinosaurs. Right. So you may be asking, how does cups stay in place? You asked the question, how do you keep the cups in place? So I thought I'd give you a brief, give you a little demo. So that's the fire there. Okay. Then you will put that inside a glass cup to remove the oxygen from inside the vessel. After which it applies it to the skin. So this is more Chinese dry cupping.
I thought you were just the maintenance man.
You think we were nice, so you are easy to fool.
Okay, so that's how how the cups are made to stay on the body. Yeah? Yeah. Okay, this is a 19th century antique cupping set used in Europe. Okay, from the 19th century. As you can see, they use the glass cups. Can you see? The glass cups are there. That's equivalent to the pump I just showed you earlier on. So other tools are like. This is a picture depicting Galen, It's shown cupping a patient who was considered authority until the rise of Islamic medical and scientific revolution in the Islamic Golden Age. So even Galen, many of you have heard of Galen before, I would imagine. Physiologist, doctor. Okay, well he's quite prominent back in the day. And this is him performing Hijaamah himself. Okay. Now we're going to discuss the physiology of Hijaamah. How does Hijaamah actually work? Because you have many people that won't necessarily go for Hijaamah because they don't understand it. See, so hopefully we'll shed some light on how it actually works scientifically. Okay. In order to do so, first we need to understand the process of diffusion. Is everybody, who knows the process of diffusion here? No? Okay, so I'll play it for your benefit then, inshallah.
Molecules dissolved in a solution are in constant random motion due to their kinetic energy. One result of this motion is that dissolved molecules become evenly distributed throughout the solution. This tendency of molecules to spread out is an example of diffusion. But how do these molecules come to be evenly distributed? Let's start with a beaker of plain water. What will happen if we now add a lump of sugar to the water? A lump of sugar is composed of many individual sugar molecules, and even as a solid lump, the individual sugar molecules are in motion. When the lump is dropped into the water, it begins to dissolve. Individual sugar molecules move randomly and constantly from the area where they are common to the area where they are scarce. This type of motion, when molecules move from areas of their higher concentration to areas of their lower concentration, is called diffusion. Diffusion continues until all the sugar molecules become evenly dispersed throughout the beaker. The rate of diffusion is affected by temperature, size of molecules, and the steepness of the concentration gradient. Although not specifically shown in this animation, this is one of the processes whereby materials are exchanged between a cell and its environment.
Okay, so you can briefly summarize what diffusion is. Idris? Follow? Okay, so it's basically particles move from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration. So for example, if I stood in the corner there and I sprayed the air freshener, this is the process that enables you to smell it, the air freshener on the other side of the room. So the particles are the scent passes from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration. It follows through. Okay. Now I know this is it's a bit scientific here, but in order to understand the actual scientific process of how Hijama works, you need to grasp these theories. Okay, this is how diffusion takes place in the capillary. Who knows what the capillary is? Capillary, okay, it's the smallest way of blood, smallest, what did you just call capillary?
Small, after the veins.
Yeah, so basically the artery is the largest, then you have the veins, and then the capillaries.
Our circulatory system is designed to provide each of our cells with a type of diffusion exchange practiced by simple unicellular organisms living in aquatic environments. This exchange occurs at the level of the tiniest blood vessels, capillaries, where wastes, nutrients, gases, and hormones are exchanged between the blood and the body cells. With walls only a single cell thick, capillaries are well adapted to their role of exchange. Most nutrients, oxygen, and carbon dioxide diffuse readily through capillary cell membranes. Salts and small charged molecules, including some small proteins, move through fluid-filled spaces within the capillary cell membrane or between adjacent capillary cells. Pressure within capillaries causes a continuous leakage of fluid from the blood plasma into the spaces surrounding the capillaries and adjacent tissues. This fluid, known as interstitial fluid, consists primarily of water in which nutrients, hormones, gases, wastes, and small proteins from the blood are dissolved. The exchange of materials between capillary blood and nearby cells occurs through this interstitial fluid, which bathes nearly all the cells of the body. Capillaries are so narrow that red blood cells must pass through them in single file. Consequently, blood is sure to pass very close to the capillary walls. In addition, capillaries are so numerous that no body cell is more than 100 micrometers or 4/1000ths of an inch from a capillary. These factors facilitate the exchange of materials by diffusion. It is estimated that the total length of capillaries in a human is over 80,600 kilometers, or 50,000 miles. As blood is forced through this narrow, almost endless network of capillaries, the speed of blood flow drops very quickly, further enhancing diffusion by increasing the amount of time available for the blood and cells to exchange materials.
Okay, so it's like the capillaries run through the top end, run the surface of your skin mainly, okay, and that's where diffusion takes place. Like for instance, when you breathe, oxygen passes through your capillaries and diffuses from your capillaries into your tissues and feeds your tissues oxygen. So it's this theory that we're going to apply now to Hijama. Okay.
Should we put the lights on?
If you want,
Okay, no, because it's no, 'cause you-
oh. Look, can you tell me what this is here? What does it look like?
that's our cup.
Okay, that's the cup there, yeah? Okay, and this is here, what do you say this is here?
Skin's good.
The skin, yeah? Okay, right. Okay, and so this is the skin here, and this is the deep tissue, okay? The deep tissue. Now remember, diffusion is from high concentration to a low concentration, okay? So where would you say, so now we've caused a suction in the cup now, would you say here the concentration is of a high concentration or low concentration? I've just pulled it out. Okay, so you've got all the toxins down here. Okay, I've just pulled the skin up, so there's really not going to be too much here. So which is high or low?
No.
Okay, so inside the cup, the concentration is going to be low. Okay, which then kicks off the process of diffusion. Then you find the toxins will move from here up to the cup. You understand? Through the process of diffusion. So it diffuses from here and works its way into the cup. So when you do,
So injuries or toxins in deep tissue can come out.
yeah, and that's how Hijama actually affects the deeper tissue. That's why you find some practitioners, if you've got kidney problem, liver problem, they actually place the cup over your organ because it affects the deeper tissue through the process of diffusion. It has access to it through the process of diffusion. Because in the cup is lower concentration there, you see. So the toxins will rise from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration, you see. So then also when I perform Hijama, I'll leave the cup on. The cup is left for around 10 minutes. After that, you'll see now that the concentration has kind of reached a balance now, an equilibrium. It's balanced out here. Around 10 minutes, about 5 to 10 minutes, you'll find the toxins now balance themselves out. High concentration to low concentration, but within a 10-minute window, you'll find that balance is achieved. So now it's even. Thereafter, that's when we apply the scratches and pull the toxins out into the cup, you see. Because initially they were down here, you see, but as a result of diffusion, they rose into this lifted skin, and then when the cuts are applied, then empty out into the cup. And then obviously scooped up and disposed of. You see, yeah? Okay. Everybody got that? Yeah? No need to be shy, so. Right, so basically, the cupping site acts as a blood filter, okay? Each wet cupping site becomes a systemic filter. Filtration process is similar to that of the kidney. So if you think about it, when I put that cup on, it's an artificial kidney. Similar to that of dialysis, really, you know? Because the process is being used. Right, so the generation of continuous diffusion gradient is created. This basically means that once the scratches are applied, the toxins come out the top, so then there's always, so underneath the cup, there's always going to be high concentration, low concentration, and then it's going to come out. And because it's coming out, the area in the lifted skin is always going to be low concentration as opposed to what's below it, you see. So until all the blood's come out, you've achieved this diffusion state. Okay, so mechanism by which Hijama works, yeah, one is relieving physical pressure, so that's swelling caused by an allergic reaction, water fluid retention from heart or kidney failure. Like you may find in our uncles and aunties there, you tend to find that the calves and legs are quite swollen as a result of water retention, not being able to make its way. The circulatory system is not optimum. And you find that a lot of water retention in the ankles and the calves, things like this. So Hijama help by relieving this physical pressure. So let's imagine you've got a swollen knee, for instance. Somebody has a swollen knee. Now, the pressures inside of it as a result of all the inflammation, okay, it's putting a lot of pressure on the skin. Now, when we apply a cup, say for instance, so I've got inflammation here. I place the cup here now, and I apply suction. There's more surface area now. You understand? So the pressure it will even out in that sense. You understand? Because I've created more surface here, so I've got a bulging inflammation there. Surface here, it relieves it to some degree.
So you wouldn't actually place on the...
You know, you can do, but you have to be careful though. Sometimes you can place it actually on the swelling, but it's safer to place it around the swelling, you know, just to alleviate that pressure. Okay, the second mechanism by which Hijama works is by removing chemical stimulus. Okay, like for instance, we have here removing after effects of chemotherapy in form of cancer patients. I'll use this as an example. So if somebody's gone for cancer now, they've finished their treatment, but they've gone through radiotherapy, chemotherapy, you know, they have a lot of toxins within their body, you see, which causes pain because the body interprets it as though there's a foreign body there and sends certain agents and whatnot, okay? So by removing this chemotherapy from the blood, it reduces the pain that the patient feels, you see. I'm actually treating a patient right now post-cancer, you know, and in terms of relief, I only started treating him 2 weeks ago. You know, he suffered from cancer, finished the chemotherapy, the radiotherapy, but now he's asked for Hijama to remove the toxins from his blood, you see. And to be honest, alhamdulillah, mashallah, very good feedback from him as well. He feels lighter in himself, he feels, you know, more energized. Mechanism 3 by which Hijama works is through releasing pain-reducing agents. Okay, so de-stressing those who are easily stressed, relaxing damaged, sprained muscles, and menstrual cramps. Okay, so basically, when the body is hurt, so when you're hurt, the body releases hormones, okay, to dampen the pain. Okay, these are called like pain-relieving agents. Okay, so when you receive that somebody hits you or scratches you, the body releases these type of hormones to dampen the pain you feel. Okay. For instance, when the scratches are made in Hijama to the surface of the skin, the body releases pain-reducing agents. So you actually find that when you have Hijama, and that's why a lot of people think it's frightening, but if it's performed correctly, you actually feel very relaxed because it forces the body to release these hormones that relax you. See, that's why when I treat, mashallah, a lot of people when they receive Hijama, they're actually very calm, relaxed, because these hormones are now at play. And finally, restoring normal tissue function, like for instance, inflammation from arthritis, rebuilding brittle bones from osteoporosis, damage caused by acne, abscesses, and underneath the skin. So the way that works is, I'll give another example of swelling. I have swelling under my skin in my arm here. Okay, as a result of the swelling, there's something called the lymph duct underneath the skin. That is responsible for the drainage of all toxins or inflammatory modules and whatnot. It's responsible for taking those out of the system. When you have chronic or acute inflammation, the inflammation is so severe that it causes the lymph duct to close. And when it closes, the inflammation remains and becomes worse, and then that's when we get the leaking and, you know, the chronic inflammation. So by applying the cup, we are alleviating it by increasing the area, so the pressure is lifted off the lymph duct and it begins to open, thus facilitating drainage back in there. Before when the inflammation was there, it compressed the lymph duct, you see. And that's how you get chronic inflammation. It can't go nowhere, you see. If somebody got swollen up for ages, it can't go nowhere. It's with the lymph duct that's responsible for its removal is squashed, basically, you see. So by lifting the skin up, you're relieving also the lymph duct. So benefits of Hijama summary: acts as a blood filter similar to that of the kidney, removes harmful substances, it vents physical pressure, removes chemical stimulus, releases pain-reducing agents, restores normal tissue function. Okay, so what can Hijama treat then? The hijama treats the following: soft tissue myofascial pain, like a lot of stuff from back pain, neck pain. These are all muscle related. It helps treat knee pain, post-surgical swelling, as we just explained why, swelling, lymph duct, etc. Migraine headaches, sinus pain, cardiovascular pain, respiratory conditions like asthma, urological conditions like kidney disease, digestive conditions like IBS, for instance, skin conditions like eczema or psoriasis, reproductive conditions as in inability to conceive and menstrual cramps and pains, neurological conditions such as Parkinson's disease or MS, psychological conditions such as schizophrenia, or as our previous talk, when it comes to gym possession and whatnot, and hormonal conditions like hypothyroid, hypothyroid, overactive thyroid, underactive thyroid, and just general hormonal conditions. So this is what hijama can treat. Right, okay. Right, so hijama and Islamic tradition. So now we'll discuss the science. You see, now some people say, well, brother, we don't necessarily need the science, just give us the hadith. The hadith is sufficient. That's my approach, and I believe many of us here in this room, that's our approach with law. If Nabi Sallallahu advises us to do so, we will do so. But then you have those who, won't necessarily go along with it until they've had some kind of, background information, which is no harm in that, really, being that the knowledge is there. Okay, so hijama and Islamic tradition. Abdullah bin Mas'ud narrates, the Messenger of Allah spoke about his ascent to the heavens, saying, so this is talking about Isra and Miraj, when Nabi Sallallahu went to the heavens. I did not pass by a single company of angels except they exhorted me to command my ummah to practice hijama. Okay, and this is in Tirmidhi. Okay. Another hadith, Ibn Abbas narrated that the Prophet ﷺ said, healing is in three things: in the cut of the blade used in hijama, in a drink of honey, in branding with iron. However, I forbid my ummah from branding with iron. This is in Bukhari. A third hadith, to be honest, there's many hadith with regards to hijama. I've just selected a few. Anas narrates that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, the ideal cure is hijama and qist al-bahri, which is a marine type of herb or powder. Another hadith, Abdurrahman ibn Abi An'am narrates, I went to see Abu Huraira while he was getting cupped. He said to me, "Oh Abdul Hakam, get yourself cupped." I said, I've never had cupping done. He said, Abu Qasim Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said to me, hijama is the best thing people treat themselves with. Next hadith narrated by Jabir ibn Abdullah, that he paid al-Muqanna a visit during his illness and said, I will not leave till he gets cupped. For I heard Allah's Apostle saying, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, there is healing in cupping. So just to go back to what we were discussing, those are the hadith. Now, what's amazing, that like we've had the lectures on Ruqya and whatnot, is that whenever we have an ailment, the first thing we do is we go to the doctors. That's the first thing we do. We never look at, is there an underlying cause? Is I'm the reason why I have this issue? Is sihr the reason why I have this issue? Is possession the reason why I have this issue? Can I treat it with anything other than medication, i.e. hijama, or ruqya? Our first thing we do, as soon as we have an illness, we go straight to the doctor. And then we give medications that don't solve the problem because the doctors are unaware of the underlying reasons. Now, I'm not saying that all illnesses are a result of those things, but I'm saying first eliminate that, so at least you know when you're taking the medication and it's not working, it's not because of those aforementioned issues. You understand? So, I was just treating somebody the other day with hijama. He has severe skin condition, okay, and a very odd skin condition as well, which I won't mention because it's quite unique, and I think people will be able to figure out just by describing the condition. But I looked at him and I said to him, it's just too much. The skin condition was too much. So I said to him, look, brother, okay, let me just see if you have iron. So upon just 1 or 2 minutes of recitation on him, his eyes were going all over the place. All over the place, like this. Within a minute or two of recitation, his eyes were all over the place. So I said, look, brother, you've been to the doctor. The doctor actually advised that he may need some form of surgery. That was the last advice. He may need some form of surgery. But it could be, as I saw, as a result of the iron gas, you see. So we need to eliminate these possibilities before we go to medicine, and not vice versa. Try this, and then if that's clear, then go to the doctor. Because if you go to the doctor first, it's not going to solve your problem anyway, and you're just putting more toxins, more chemicals into your body, which then has further knock-on effects and adverse effects. Okay, are there preferential days for hijama? Are there days that are better to have hijama? Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu reported the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever is treated with cupping on the 17th, 19th or 21st will be healed from all diseases. And this is reported in Abu Dawud and Al-Bayhaqi. Next hadith, Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu narrates the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, whoever has hijama on the 17th of the lunar month will be a cure of every disease. And this is in Al-Hakim. So we can see here that the blessed days for hijama are the 17th, 19th and 21st of the Hijri calendar. Not the calendar we go by, which is the Gregorian calendar, the Hijri calendar. Okay. Are there non-preferential days for hijama? Are there days that you should not have hijama performed? There's a hadith by Ibn Umar that narrates that the Prophet ﷺ said, administer cupping, may Allah bless you, on Thursdays, and administer cupping on Mondays and Tuesdays, but avoid cupping on Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays and Sundays. Okay, so from this particular hadith, I'll mention a few points. That there are opinions that basically hijama can be performed on these particular days if a need arises, i.e. a medical condition such as a person has high blood pressure. He can't wait for these days to have the hijama to reduce his high blood pressure. He has to have it there and then, you see. Or for instance, you're doing ruqya on somebody and they say a jinn manifestation, you want to perform a hijama on the jinn now. You can't wait now, okay, well, do I choose on Monday, Tuesday, I can't do Saturday, Sunday, you know. You have to do it then because necessity dictates so. This is the opinion of Ahmad bin Hanbal, also opinion of Ibn Qayyim and Ibn Hajar al-Hafiz. That's their opinion as well, that you can do it if the necessity or need arises, whether it be medical or spiritual, etc.
Wasn't the 17th and the 19th and 21st fall on those days?
Fall on those. That's the question. You see, is that can you have hijama on those days? You see, because a lot of times you do find. See, that's the issue. See, because if you apply these two, you find that there's very limited days you can actually have hijama done. You see, because you already scrapped out quite a few. But what they're saying, Imam Ahmad saying from what I've read is that if you don't have to have on those days, don't do it. But if you need to, then do it. Okay, and I think that's the principle by which I'd advocate. If you need to have it done, then have it done. Okay, and if not, then wait until the day is suitable. Okay, hijama and ruqya. Now we're trying to link how to use hijama with ruqya. Ibn al-Qayyim has quoted from Abu Ubaid in Zad al-Ma'ad that Abdurrahman ibn Abu Layla has narrated that when the Prophet, peace be upon him, was afflicted by black magic, he had hijama performed on his head. So what do we take from this is that if you have magic, you have hijama performed on the head. And also to treat the area that's afflicted, because we know Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when he was suffering, when he was afflicted with magic, you know, it had an effect on some of his memory, not with regards to his prophethood or the Quran and the Sunnah and whatnot, just with regards to his, in some opinion that, you know, with relation with his family and so on. But it affected his mind in that regard, yeah, with regards to his memory. So he had the cupping done on his head. So we can see two things from this. One, if you have sihr, have it perform cupping on your head. Two is look to the area from which you're being afflicted. Where's the problem coming from? You understand? For example, some people digest the sihr, you see, and then they have to have hijama done on their abdomen, for example. You have some people that digest it and they're constantly puking and X, Y, and Z, and sometimes, okay, we won't go into that, but it should be done on the place where the affliction is or where the pain is coming from. Okay, when it comes to possession, the hadith states that verily shaitan flows in the blood of Adam's descendants, and this is in Muslim. Now, obviously we take this in the literal sense, and therefore hijama is very, very applicable, as it affects the blood. So if the shaitan wants in the blood of the descendants of Adam, if you're extracting it through hijama, then you'd be affecting the shaitan directly. Well, there's a few things I'd like to touch on here actually, is one, the benefits of performing hijama on a patient suffering from jinn possession. Now, you may have heard that, you know, you can extract the jinn using hijama. Now, this is possible, okay, but one has to take care with regards to its application. I myself have used hijama on patients who have been possessed and have a manifest jinn, where the jinn takes over the body, and we have used hijama to take the jinn out of the body. But this was done with recitation of the Quran, through ruqya, reading recitation of the Quran, plus hijama, not just hijama alone. Now, sometimes when you go to people who diagnose you, they'll diagnose whether they have sihr, possession, or ayn through hijama. So they'll just diagnose you. As with Brother Sa'id, he will say the way to do it is through recitation of the Quran, your specific niyyah. You can then decide as to what is going on exactly. Some people say that they can diagnose through hijama. Now, what? Go ahead.
Is there any risk to the practitioner of hijama?
The practitioner,
when they're doing it on someone who's suffering from sihr or possession or whatever.
Yeah, obviously the person who is performing hijama needs to have certain things in place. He needs to have his adhkar, his protection adhkar in place, of a certain Islamic uprightness. You know, not any person can go ahead, I'd say, and in that sense, go ahead and perform hijama plus the.
Is there any risk to the
Risk,
practitioner getting let's say, possessed?
Not really, and it's likely, it could happen. I won't rule that out. It could happen, but it's unlikely the person take the necessary steps and precautions, i.e. done his protection of the card for the morning and evening and things like that. Then no, there's not. Because we put our trust in Allah. If you made your intention, you made your card in the morning, oh Allah protect me. When you're doing this, you're asking Allah for Allah's protection. Now if you have tawakkul and yaqeen that Allah will protect you, then you have nothing to fear. You understand? It's only when you have a bit of, your yaqeen is not so strong, then Allah is as you think He is. Okay, does that answer your question? Okay. Right. So coming back to.
When you mentioned the particular areas, are there any particular areas
Yes,
that should be avoided?
Avoided. Generally speaking, there's only a few areas in the body. You have to be very careful along the jugular veins, not to actually do hijama on veins or arteries, and obviously men and generally women not on the on the private areas. You do come across some brothers who do want hijamas in very obscure and odd places. You do come across this,
Under the feet as well.
Under the feet, excellent as well. But when it comes to the jinn, say for instance now, as Brother Sari was saying, your arm's shaking, we'd apply it to the arm that is shaking. You understand? But what I want to quickly address, and this is quite an important part, is that some people will say, when you go to get diagnosed through hijama, they'll say, okay, if you see steam, if you see bubbles in the cup, that means you have sihr. You see, if you see bubbles in the cup, you have sihr. If you see steam in the cup, you have possession. Yeah? And if the cup falls off, it's the sihr throwing the cup off, or the jinn pulling the cup off your body. Okay. So I want to address this. Now I'm not saying these are untrue, but I'm saying to bear these things in mind if you are being diagnosed with hijama. Is that one, when it comes to the bubbles, okay, for instance, if you're treating a brother who has hair, quite a bit of hair, and you put a cup on him, because the hair is on the base of the cup, air gets into the cup. So you see the bubbles. Now if I wasn't trained in this, I'd say, brother, sister, you have sihr. You see straight away. And the amount of people I've treated with bubbles in their cup is almost everybody, because a lot of brothers, mashallah, especially in the Indo-Pak community, are quite, mashallah, we have hair, So they're bubbling all day long. Now, is the whole community now has sihr? No, I don't think so, But I'm not ruling that out, but what you need to ask, if the person is diagnosing you, you've gone to get diagnosed through hijama, then try to eliminate this. How about is hair in the way before you accept their diagnosis? When it comes to the steam, our blood boils at about 33 degrees Celsius on average. Is that correct? 33? It's about 33 degrees. Okay, now in England, the average temperature here is about what? In the winter, 8 degrees now. Okay, so the blood's coming out and vapor is coming out at the same time. Yeah, at 33 degrees. It hits the surface of the cup, condensation, you see. It steams up against the cup, you see. So it's not that there's a jinn now in the cup. I'm not saying to eliminate this, but I'm saying be aware, okay? Don't just accept it straight away. Oh, I've got a jinn in there. Or you just took the jinn out, I can see steam. All through winter, you'll see steam on the cup. If I put it on myself, I put it on one brother here, you'll steam, guaranteed. You understand? Because your body's hot, outside it's cold. Condensation. Then when it comes to the cups falling off, you hear there's a jinn in the room, it's pulled it off and whatnot. No, as for instance, not many people use the oil, which acts as a sealant, you see. And the cups fall off all the time, especially when you don't use the oil. That's why the oil is very crucial, by the way. Okay? So I just want to touch on that, because a lot of people, they go to get diagnosed with these spiritual ailments through hijama, which I don't agree. I believe that doing it through Quran is the way, basically. And you use hijama to help that affliction, but don't use it to diagnose that particular, those afflictions. These are the sunnah points, okay? You can just take a look. You've got kahil, which is the nape of the neck, the C7. I'll mention this one in particular, is because when performing ruqya and hijama at the same time, the kahil, the nape of the neck, it seems to be the best place to perform the hijama. You tend to find that when you place the cup on the nape of the neck, that the jinn cannot move around the body. It no longer moves. It's stuck in that place, you see. Which then, so say for instance, it's shaking your arm, and you don't want to move to the other arm, as it does many times. The jinn will be in this arm, you reel this arm, and then it'll move over to the other arm. If you want to prevent this nonsense going on, place the hijama cup on the kahil, which is on the nape of the neck, C7, okay, and you'll find that it will be stuck in that particular place. So then, by putting it on the kahil, then you put the cup on the arm, you see. It can no longer move around. Okay. Then you can see, I'll just mention Yafuk is the one on the top of the head, that's when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had it done. And you have the two on Al-Akhdain. There's two opinions. They say around the back of the neck. Al-Akhdain here, okay, the opinion that you've got these 2 points there, but the other opinion states that Al-Akhdain is underneath the 2 shoulder blades. So you will find some people that have a triangle that goes this way, and then some people have a triangle that way, basically the opposite triangle. So that's just a difference of opinion. Okay, so come to an end here now. Is brothers, be aware, okay, of, as we have here, incompetent practitioners. Okay, now if you look here, what's happened here is basically the result of an incompetent hijama practitioner. What's happened here is that the cup has actually been left on the skin for too long, and it's caused the skin to blister. Because if you think of the cup, it is as though it's the opposite of a punch to your skin. If I'm pulling it the other way, it's as though you have somebody punching your skin for a long period of time. And if left for more than 10 minutes on average, depending on the dermatology of the patient, it can cause this type of blistering. So I say, brothers, going to an unknown brother who does hijama, who hasn't got the credentials, you're risking your life, basically, you really are. Okay, so it's very important. Don't just think, mashallah, sunnah, no problem, anybody can do it on me. No, be careful and be responsible with regards to your own body and your families. Use of one blade on multiple patients. Some people use the same blade. So say for example, I'll put Brother Mumsy here, Abu Qadir here, and Anwar. I perform the scratches on his back, then on Anwar's back, and then on Mumsy's back with the same blade. Now, obviously, if these brothers have no illnesses, there's no problem. What do you do then if the patient has a blood-borne virus? Has hepatitis, for instance, hepatitis B, HIV. Some people have this and are unaware, you see. And I know that our practitioners who use the same blade, they use their hijama as a slaughterhouse, more or less. They'll line them up, bismillah, bismillah, and they're using the same blade. But you can be passing on blood-borne viruses, you see. And that also applies to the use of horns. Some people say, no, the sunnah is to use the horn because the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used the horn. But as I mentioned in the hadith earlier, the hadith states that the cure is in the blade, i.e. the cut. It doesn't mention anything about the apparatus with regards to the horns or what pump you use, or do you suck the horn. It just mentions the blade. The shifa is in the blade. Okay? So as I got here, the use of the horns cannot be efficiently sterilized. What they do, they have the horn, they whack fire into it, and say, okay, now it's all done. Well, if you get to one of these horns and you whack it against the wall, you'll see all the dried blood falling out of it. Okay? You'll see the blood falling out. Now, that's not sterile. You're opening your skin, you're opening your body. You see, when you apply this cup, it's a minor surgery, it's an incision, you see. So you have to be careful. When it comes to the glass cups, now glass cups, a lot of people use glass cups, and I'm not going to say it's completely wrong, but what I would say is that when you go to someone who uses glass cups, make sure they have a sterile, they have some kind of sterilization process, not just fairy liquid, antibacterial cream, they whack it in there, and then they put it on you. That happened many times. I had a brother, who I treat, and I use, obviously you can see plastic disposable cups. I do not use my cups. One blade per patient, one cup per patient, and everything goes in the bin. Okay? There's no, not trying to cut any corners or anything like that. So, but you find with the glass, if it's not sterile, okay, the blood, as I said, so I was giving an example. The brother I used to treat with Hijama, he went and had Hijama for somebody that uses glass cups. When he came back to me, he said, brother, when you did Hijama on me, I was fine a couple of hours afterwards. But when I had this one, I still had the pain, okay, and I've also developed abscesses around where the cup was placed. I said, well, there you go, because that particular cup holder wasn't sterilized, you see. Can you put so say for instance, I had a patient now who has bad acne on their back now. I've done hijama with a glass cup. I then take that cup and put it on you. I've used a bit of fairy liquid or something, and then put it on you. Cross-contamination there, okay? Also so
You know, some people, what they do is they reuse the actual cup, the plastic cup they use with the pump. They sterilize that. It's not advisable, is it?
they sterilize
They sterilize the actual cup, you know, the ones that you dispose.
the plastic. Yeah, okay. The problem with that's correct. Reusing the plastic cups that's there actually. The problem with that is that sometimes the blood actually gets into the valve. Okay, so you can't clean the valve out. You can't clean out. You see, you can never, with these cups in particular, they're made to be disposable, not made to be reused and
But you
reused.
should really sterilize.
No, you chuck these in the bin, without doubt. These you never.
Some people do use those.
Yeah, that's completely incorrect, 100%. Also, with the use of the glass cups, you can't adjust the pressure. With this valve, I can adjust the pressure on the body. You see, say if I'm treating an elderly patient, I can adjust the pressure. With the cups in the fire, it's whatever the pressure is, you just have to go with it. You can't adjust it because there's no way of doing it, there's no valve. Okay? So you need to be worried with the glass cups. We've mentioned reuse of plastic cups. Using too many cups. Some brothers, mashallah, they're very enthusiastic about, hijama, and they'll go all out, brother, I want 10 cups, 15 cups, 20 cups here, all over my body. And I've experienced this, okay? You don't need to, okay? For one, you have to be careful, because when you take the blood out, you're reducing the blood pressure. Too much blood drops the blood pressure, okay, and can cause a person to faint or pass out. And usually what happens as a result of that is that the patient no longer wants to have hijama again. They're done with it. They said, khalas, I had it one time, I'm done, I'm never going to do it again. Having hijama performed in an unhygienic environment. Some brothers have hijama performed whilst, how do I put it, you got martial brothers, Bismillah tafaddal, brother, I know do hijama tafaddal. One brother told me he was put into the brother's kitchen, his family's home's kitchen, where his wife was preparing food. And he had hijama whilst observing the meat that was being ready to be cooked.
That was the last client.
That was yeah, not my client. So you have to be, just because it's sunnah, it doesn't mean that you should not observe certain things. Okay? So that's just to be aware. And what I'd like, inshallah, as mentioned earlier by AQ, is that we are looking to open a clinic, inshallah, for the community. So if you could fill in this form here, and if the sisters could also hand out the form, if you could register your name, number, and email address, and we'll be in contact with you once the clinic is up and running, inshallah. And that's it. If there's any question and answer, we've got about 5 minutes. If there's anything.
Can you just repeat, when you get down, doing ruqya, where do you actually put the cups? You go to read ruqya, where are you going to put them?
Okay, so the
diagnose someone with jinn possession or sihr or whatever, they're shaking and somebody's got pain. Where do you put the cups on that?
Okay, the brothers asked, where do you put the cups when somebody is showing some forms of possession, some forms of possession? So as I advised earlier, you should place it on the kahil, which is the nape of the neck, okay, the C7. That will prevent the jinn from moving onto other limbs. Then after, so you have one cup on the nape of the neck. Once you put it there, then you apply the cup to the area that's moving. Yes? But what I would say also is that, you see, each patient is different. Some people's reaction to ruqya is different from others. You could be one brother, you might sit still and just have a shaking of the arm. Some brothers you have them with their necks twisting all over the place, they're banging their heads on the wall. You understand? So care has to be taken from hijama on these type of patients, you see. Because sometimes they're mutilating themselves and you're just reading, they're not doing hijama. They're ripping their arms out and things like this, and you're not doing no hijama on them, you see. So care needs to be taken, and that's why, as Saeed mentioned earlier, is that learn the etiquette. But I would say if you have too much shaking on your body, or there's too much, don't do it yourself. Have somebody perform it for you. Inshallah.
Muslims talk about how I talk about removing, how I remove mine. How the other way of removing them.
Well, the other way, that's through using the nape of the neck, right? Yeah. So the brother asked how can you remove the jinn from the body using hijama? As stated earlier, if the cups are placed on the kahil point, which is the nape of the neck, okay, and recitation is performed, the jinn can be extracted through this method. But the person reciting, but this includes recitation plus hijama, not just hijama by itself, because the recitation causes the jinn to stir, basically, as you're hurting and you're hurting and you're causing pain, and the hijama acts as a way. So you're pushing it out of the body through recitation, and the hijama is sucking it out. People
on blood thinners.
Yes. Yeah, blood thinners, really, they should not have hijama performed. Patients or brothers or sisters on blood thinners should not have hijama performed unless they have clearance from the doctor. If they have clearance from the doctor, then it is advised that they discontinue the medication for a day or two and then have hijama performed, because the concern would be that the bleeding would not stop, basically. But this needs to be first. The doctor has to give the go ahead. You know, inshallah.
You know, when I was taking that, when I was taking the jinn out of myself, and I knew I was taking it out. Summer, it wasn't winter, and there was some sort of steam. So how do you work out if that steam is the jinn, or it's just the steam which has gone to the station?
But the brother's asked. He's asked, you know, how do you know?
Look a bit different.
Yeah, how do you know whether it's steam? The steam in the cup is due to condensation, or is actually due to the jinn? My response to that would be, that was the purpose of the initial that talk there about specific ruqya, and so I think that's still the best method. If you know you have it, yeah, then you do recitation. You don't really need the steam to confirm whether you still got or you don't have it. You can use the Quran.
Well, could you say that when I saw this, was that a sign?
I wouldn't be inclined to agree, really, because we know in Qatar, for instance, the AC inside the house, you know, is about 12 degrees, isn't it? And the blood's still much hotter than that. In a hotter country, but inside the house, the temperature is less than the temperature of your body. See, but as I said, you use the Quran. Before they said specifically, see if you have something. If you yourself to have something, then when you think you've extracted it, then just read yourself, has it gone? If you're not reacting no more, then khalas, it's gone. That's sufficient.
Let's go back to the question the brother asked earlier on. I don't think it was clarified sufficiently enough that if an individual like the brother Saeed or yourself, the practitioner of the ruqya, the practitioner of the hijama, is there a possibility of the condition of the client can be transferred onto the person that's carrying out the treatment?
Okay, the brother asked, can there be some crossover from the person affected with sihr possession or possession? Is there any crossover, whereas the practitioner treating, can it jump onto him, basically? Can there be some crossover? As I say, if the people should not be doing this type of, they shouldn't be doing ruqya and so on, if they're not taking the necessary steps. They should not be doing, if you're not doing al-Qur'an, then don't think to do.
Can I just say on this here, on this point that the practitioner of ruqya or hijama is in no greater risk than you and me sitting next to the person who has got possession of jinn, etc. or not. Except that the practitioner, because he's fighting the ruqya, fighting the jinn, the sahir, maybe the jinn will attack him because he's fighting.
Directly harming him.
But other than that, there's no greater risk he's in than anyone else.
Because we have obviously, we don't know how true they are, but we have heard of reports that some Iraqis have been affected over time by the conditions that they're trying to relieve.
Yes.
Yeah.
Many stories, many factual, it's happened many times. You know, the Iraqis are, there's one, you all know Abu Muhammad.
Yeah.
He rang me and he told me that he's treating some jinns and some people, and they were mentioning names, the jinns were mentioning names of brothers, all du'ats, saying we're going to catch them, we're going to do this to them, we're going to do that to them. So, but the thing is, you have to remember that Allah Jalla has created us stronger than them. We have got one word, one sentence that makes them scream and run. Does
that answer the question there, Hamza? Yeah? We'll wrap up now and we can Maghrib to come in the next 10 minutes, inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. Assalamu alaikum.